What's up, guys? Welcome to SJU. Disney is doing some massive shifts away from the theatrical experience and putting all their eggs into the streaming basket. We're going to get through that info as quick as we can so that we can talk about the trailer for Nick Cage's new masterpiece, Jiu-Jitsu. We've got some Coming to America sequel updates, and then stick around. We will be answering your questions out of chat. And speaking of two of my favorite people to chat with and ask questions to, Spencer J. Gilbert, Eric Goldman.
Joe, you're crazy, like me. To quote the now infamous Jiu-Jitsu trailer.
Infamous? You just mean glorious. Yeah. Come on.
Oh, absolutely. Eric, what if an alien came to space and Nick Cage recruited you to fight it, what fighting style would you use?
I guess jiu-jitsu. I mean, clearly it's the superior one. I mean, they're ready for this alien, so gotta go with it.
Needs focus. But guys, we will get to jiu-jitsu, I promise. But first, we got to eat our broccolis. So, before we even get to that, we gotta eat the microgreens on top of the broccoli. Our next Fandom 5 trivia show is Star Wars.
Heard of it.
Have you heard of the Star Wars? It's a great franchise about wizards and capitalism. So guys,
I love both those things.
There's a description and more info in there's a link and more info in the description below. So register for that. RSVP. Come answer 5 correct questions about Star Wars and win money. And I'm not talking credits. Credits or portions, or I'm talking real American dollars, like Disney's gonna make on new Baby Yoda merch after season 2 of Mandalorian. Real, just rub them dollars between your fingers right here. Okay, anyway, Disney. Let's talk streaming, you guys. This is via CNBC, and there's not a place more exciting than I like to get my sources from than CNBC. Welcome to SJU, you guys. So Disney is completely restructuring its media and entertainment divisions in order to accelerate their direct-to-consumer strategy. So they're centralizing their media business into a single organization that will be responsible for content distribution, ad sales, and most importantly, Disney Plus. That is their main focus. Now, the change, this is kind of interesting to me. The change obviously comes because COVID-19 has crippled the theatrical experience, right? Regal's closing chains. AMC, I'm sure, is in very dire straits and having very similar conversations right now.
Not to mention the Disney cruises are not as fun as they used to be.
Yeah, no.
Disneyland is not open?
Yeah, no, Disneyland is not open. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted a longer Disney cruise, then chances are you're still on one of those boats and not allowed to leave the harbor. Cruises, bad. Parks, bad. Theatrical experience, gone. However, this was interesting to me. CEO Bob Chapek told CNBC, he said this, which I thought was kind of interesting. I would say, I would not characterize this as a response to COVID. I would say COVID accelerated the rate at which we make the transition, but this transition was going to happen anyway. And this transition, meaning, and I quote, we are tilting the scale pretty dramatically towards streaming. So this is interesting to me. Obviously, there's some insistence that, this was the strategy anyway. COVID has just picked up the timetable. What do you guys think? Have the studios seen the writing on the wall for the theatrical experience versus streaming for a while?
I mean, I think...
Or is this just a CEO trying to sound like they were correct?
They have, even though there's this huge caveat with Disney, right? Who's coming off of a year when they made billions and billions of dollars off multiple movies. Disney was with everyone else struggling, not that, Disney has their own struggles and it's like they have their misses too, but with these mega franchises they're in a better place to survive. And yet you can complain about the fact that they only do the mega franchises now. I think he's being truthful that this was the way it was leaning in the long term. But, it's like this whole thing with the theaters being closed. I still believe Disney wants 2 years from now to be able to release a few Marvel movies a year to make billions and billions of dollars.
Sure.
But I do think that they see, people brought this up when Disney Plus launched, like a movie like Togo, which is really good, by the way, would have been a theatrical movie 10 years ago. But there was already kind of no place for that movie anymore in theatrical. No place for like any of those like sort of like lower budget movies that Disney made. They were all moving to streaming. It is accelerating it, right? And we are already seeing things that would have been theatrical going there. So I think he's being truthful to a point, but at the same time, of course, they still want theatrical. It's not like they want theaters to be gone because they make a lot of money off of them, you know?
Well, Spencer J. Gilbert, let me ask you this. Does this mean there's even less space for something that's not an Avengers Endgame in Disney's theatrical plan? Like we see Soul, you know, getting knocked to Disney Plus. Does this mean that, you know, are they going to start setting a precedent? You know, Pixar movies, streaming. A movie with all our Marvel characters in it, theatrical.
Gosh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that their response, even previous to COVID and Disney Plus, is just to make fewer things that they make, but they make every single one of them an enormous event, which is why I can't imagine them turning away from theatrical releases when theaters are back open. I mean, they accounted for, I think, over a quarter of the total box office receipts were for Disney movies last year. Like, that's a huge chunk of change to leave on the table. And I don't think that that Disney Plus and going out to see a movie is mutually exclusive. Like, the same people that see a bunch of movies in theaters also stream a bunch of movies at home. Like, people will one day want to leave the house again. But I do think that, yes, this is the victim of this is like the 20th Century Fox film slate. It's anything Disney and smaller and that you might have gotten. They don't even make those anymore, but 10 years ago you might have gotten a smaller Disney film. But they are in the blockbuster business, and you're about to see 8 gigantic releases a year from each studio, rather than seeing something new at the theater every week.
Yeah.
The Fox Searchlight stuff is a good one too, because that, you know, one of the things with Searchlight is it's kind of Oscar bait, and they already got Oscars from having Searchlight with Jojo Rabbit. There was something else, I believe, Searchlight. Those things, it's like, it feels like those might get like a cursory release, right? Like going forward, like maybe they'll get just the coasts and a couple other theaters, and they'll mostly be streaming.
Now, is this an opportunity for indie film or upstart film studios to make different kinds of movies? Maybe, but the way things have been going, those have just been snapped up by streaming services. So we'll see when things open back up. It's too soon.
Well, sort of speaking to these opportunities and where the 20th century slate goes and stuff like that. So they are reorganizing. Disney insists that this reorg won't result in as many layoffs as their park layoffs do, which, again, holy crap. It can't be understated that Disney like nuked 28,000 jobs in the middle of this. It's wild. So they're insisting that this restructure won't be as bad. But I did want to just point out one very scary job role for Kareem Daniel, who has been promoted to oversee this whole new version of their media distribution. Top line of his job description is being in charge of making sure streaming becomes profitable.
Yep.
Good luck, man.
Yeah. I mean, because I think they pointed out, it's like they knew, it's not like it's a surprise or oh no, they knew that Disney Plus was not going to be profitable for years. That's just how it goes with something like that. And yes, they're ahead on subscriptions, but now with no money coming in theatrical, very little coming in from the theme parks. Mm-hmm. The cruises gutted, all these things we said, suddenly the onus is on it to start making money on the streaming much sooner. Within, I don't know what's realistic. Is it realistic, say, in a couple years, or do you still have to say a few years? But make sure that the end goal is to be generating a lot of money. Otherwise, all they're doing is spending it.
Right. Well, there's a lot of sort of differing opinions in chat about, what strategies need to be going forward. Some folks saying, obviously the pandemic won't last forever. Things will return to normal at some point. Other folks, Roblinson88, saying, I think Disney is not confident in the opening of the economy post-COVID. Simon Smith says, the real question to me is whether or not the theatrical distribution infrastructure will be around after COVID. I think these are the sort of like long game questions they have to play, right? Because there's more than just the theaters open back up and we're all fine. There's also Disney's not the only people that killed 28,000 jobs. There's also the question of, okay, AMC opened back up. Do I have money to go see movies now? There's all types of questions that I think are going into this shift. And I think Disney is taking a futurist play from Tony Stark, their key character, and just trying to look, 5-10 years ahead versus 1 to 2 years ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year has taught, at this point, this has been going on so many months that they can now look ahead and be like, we can't count on anything. Like, is Black Widow still going to open in May, which is its third major release date? And if it does, will it make anywhere near what it would have made if this hadn't happened? And the answer is probably not. So they have to just be looking at, right now we're already seeing, let's look at the fact that Disney already moved D23 Expo into 2022. They moved their big convention a year later. They already know 2021 is going to be hit heavily by this as well. Even if by mid-year we have a vaccine, which I certainly hope, they know this is going to take a while to come back from. So at this point, they have to be projecting, way ahead on this.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a lot happening right off camera. With that, apologies.
I envision a lot right now, Joe.
At Phoenix Vandale says, what kind of activities would save the movies? AMC all the way to Amazon. With that question in mind, gentlemen, pitch me the perfect car wash or dance party that will save the rec center that is Hollywood.
A vaccine, Joe. It's not, I don't want to get too fancy with it because I do think that all you need to do is get to a world where people feel safe gathering close together in a poorly ventilated dark room. And when somebody coughs, we don't attack them with spears and knives. And I think that is, hopefully around the corner, Joe. Hopefully that's around the corner. I just think that you literally just need to open them back up. I would love to go see a movie right now. I would love to. I just don't feel super comfortable doing that, and I don't know when I will. But I know, but the desire is there, and I don't think movies were, theater chains were struggling, and they always have been. The margins are really small. They got to sell that popcorn. But I think that theaters had, decades of life left in them before this happened. So really, even if it's a long, slow decline like the Roman Empire, we could still get back on that trajectory if we could just get over coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that, people, it's again, it's going to be that safety thing. But I think about the fact that just last year, right, we were having Avengers Endgame and people still get emotional watching videos people shot when they shouldn't have been shooting video inside theaters of everyone cheering and going crazy. And people will want to get back to that. They just have to feel okay about that. But, everyone's going to want to be sitting there when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield walk out of a portal in front of Tom Holland. They all want to cheer together. And Disney knows that. I think, yes, the sad thing is, as someone who loves all movies, it sucks, I think, that we are seeing more and more the erosion of smaller movies having a chance. And we are going to see more and more tentpoles only. And it was already going there. This is rushing it. And I think it's going to be very hard to come back from. It won't go away completely. There'll still be smaller movies, but they'll have a tougher and tougher time in theaters. And that makes me bummed. But I think people will still want to go to those tentpoles. It just might take a couple years to get back there. And in the meantime, it's streaming city for Disney.
Well, talking about that timeline in chat, Sebastian, B-A-S-S, is all capitalized in Sebastian. I don't know if he's talking about bass or bass. So he might be a sound system junkie. He might be a fisherman.
Both, guys, both.
Sebastian, let us know in the comments. We want to know about your hobbies. He says, I work in the live show industry, and we already have big clients and bands saying that the next event that they'll do is fall of next year. So just translate that to Disney parks and cruises. Yeah, everybody's timelines are pushed back, and I'm sure Coachella and whatever festivals are going to be weird and virtual next year.
I'm going to the Indio Valley by myself with my inappropriate headress, and I'm just going to be twirling in place out of solidarity.
Please, live cam that.
No, absolutely want to see that. Look, I mean, if things keep up like this for Disney parks, I'm just going to have my own Burning Man inside an abandoned Disney park. No one will be there to stop me. I'll just stake my claim and build my steampunk house and do some drugs. It'd be great.
It'll be like Escape from LA, where Steve Buscemi and his gang have taken over Disneyland.
Yeah.
They don't say Disneyland because they can't.
Steve,
Okay,
Steve Buscemi is my tribal leader in all of this. I'm very, very into it. The only other thing to really touch on with this shift to streaming, with all of these different strategies that Disney's trying to do, the PVOD thing with Mulan, for instance, we don't know quite how badly Mulan did. We know that it didn't do great, but we'll be able to find out more next month. They're doing a big shareholders call where I'm expecting we'll get a little more information about how badly Mulan did. But let me ask you guys this. Does it matter how bad Mulan did? Like, it feels like Mulan had so much going against it. So many elements of that movie were not good and just already being derided. Is that Ryan, before we went live, called it a mulligan? Is Mulan a mulligan? Like, do they care about the results of Mulan?
I think they care. It kind of sets a level and a level of expectation. I'm sure they wish they could do some things differently this time, but it's not going to stop the streaming train, which is full. What'd you say, Joe?
I said shoot in some different places, for instance, maybe.
Yeah, whatever. There's other provinces, but yeah, they. I think that they're full stream ahead, and Mulan wasn't going to. Yeah, thank you. Wasn't going to change that. In fact, it's probably accelerated. Like, okay, we need what else can we give people if they didn't like Mulan? What's the next thing we can put up there, or fast track and develop that addresses maybe some of the complaints or worries people had about Mulan. Yeah. Maybe we can charge them $40 next time. Who knows?
I feel like Mulan's a tricky one because we'll never know if I'm right about this. So I can say whatever I want. But I do feel like if Mulan had opened in March, if there had not been COVID, and if Mulan had opened in March worldwide at the same time like intended, it would have been a hit. I think it would have made at least 700 million, maybe 800 million. Maybe it wouldn't have broken a billion, but I think it would have been a hit. And yes, the things that got a backlash would have still been there, and maybe they've had an effect on it, not making quite as much. But I think there was kind of a perfect storm with the fact that it did have this weird staggered release, more time for people to talk about it before. They weren't rushing out to see it opening weekend. It just wasn't the same type of thing. So I think they look at Mulan and they do see money we didn't make, you know? I think that like because they probably had tracking and everything, you know, it was so close to opening. Don't forget it even had premieres too, premieres in different parts of the world. So I think that they see, okay, that would have made more money. Again, we see that they're still holding on Black Widow because that's a huge, these movies are designed to make box office money. They cannot make money on streaming alone when you're that size, when you're the size of Mulan and Black Widow. So I think that, we already talked about the fact that it's interesting to see that they're not charging anything for Soul. That's kind of surprises me. And I even wonder if that's a great business decision, but they're just deciding we want to offer people something more at Christmas to stay on our service. But they have to be having a million meetings. And like you said, in November, they're going to say some numbers. None of these streaming services are completely transparent with their full numbers. So I'm curious to see how they spin it or what they say. And if it sounds at all, I don't know. It won't sound promising because if it did sound promising, they would have said Soul for $30 and they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I don't know if you guys flagged this in the article there, but one cash infusion they're thinking of making is they usually pay out a dividend to shareholders of $3 billion. Like, here's a little something. Thanks for being a Disney supporter, and just holding on to that money and spending it on streaming stuff this year. So that's instant money. Look, you just found $3 billion under your couch cushions.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Make a bunch more Mulans.
Yeah, I want to sit on that couch. You know where else I want to sit, you guys? In a theater someday to watch a Mad Max prequel. Let's do some roundup stuff, and then we're going to talk about jujitsu. Ryan, did I talk about streaming long enough? Can we talk about jujitsu?
Yep, you did great. I appreciate you.
Thank God. Okay, so this is via Deadline. This is the continuing non-story story that is the Furiosa spin-off prequel. Is further in development now. Anya Taylor-Joy is still playing Furiosa. Chris Hemsworth and Yahya Abdul-Mateen have joined the cast, but it's not greenlit yet. it's more in development. Like, this reminds me of Double Secret Probation from Animal House. Like, how many stages of in development do you hit at Warner Brothers before greenlit? Is there a reason why they won't just say that they're making this movie? Is it because they're trying to negotiate what weird geography George Miller wants to go get lost in for this one? Do they know they're just writing a check for a guy to go play in the desert?
I think I mean, the thing about Fury Road is it's awesome, but it was kind of a disaster making it. Remember that movie took a couple years to come out after they wrapped production. There was so much reshoots, and there was talk about it. Is it going to be a total mess? It made money, but it didn't make a ton of money for them, what they were hoping. Was it a San Andreas I recently read made a little more for Warner Brothers the same summer? They released both those movies.
So sad.
I know. So I think for them, they know. I'm sure Fury Road it made money in box office. I think it's continuing to make money for them. I went to see it this summer at a drive-in screening, and everyone had a great time. It's an awesome movie. But there probably are hey George, let's try to cap this. So let's not go to 300 million on this budget, buddy. So he's obviously stacking the deck with all these cast members and look at this package I put together. But I can see if you're Warner Brothers, just because Fury Road, it was a lot and it didn't bring in James Cameron money, so they probably are trying to control just how out of hand it can get.
Yeah, the article I read said it's in advanced development. So there's probably a script, even though it's probably just different grunts and car crashes. And there's a cast and there's a director. It's probably just finalizing the budget. How much are we going to give you? How much is this really going to cost? And we know you're going to go over. So how much is that going to really cost? And are we going to do this right now, or are we going to wait until, it's easier to film? I
mean, I can't think of a safer movie to shoot, honestly, than
the desert is your bubble.
Yeah,
none of those people are going to go see anyone for 2 years because they're going to be out in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of weird Frankenstein cars. They've set,
strapped to the front of a hot rod. Yeah,
you just hope that
town.
Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, now that they've openly talked about how much they didn't like each other making that movie, you just hope Anya and Chris get along, because they'll be stuck together for a while.
True. Hopefully there'll be a little more trust. They'll know what they're getting into this time.
Yeah.
You've got to imagine that someone's done some phone calls with Tom Hardy just to be in hindsight, good.
How much did you hate your life while you made that movie?
Right. The answer is a lot, but you know what? It was worth it. Because that movie is really good.
It is.
It's really, really good. I don't know. Hey, Spencer, have you heard of this?
I've heard about it. Yeah. Is that the Mel Gibson one?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Where he's Santa Claus?
With Janet Jackson and the Thunderdome stuff. Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool.
Yep. That's the one. In other streaming news, guys, we're so close to talking about jiu-jitsu. This is.
We should have a countdown clock.
Yeah, go. Just get through this.
Okay. Coming to America, the Coming to America sequel has been sold to Amazon Studios by Paramount for $125 million. That is expected to drop December 18th. So we're going to be streaming the Coming to America sequel. Thoughts?
Yeah, I pitched a Coming to America sequel in Movie Fights once upon a time. I hope they use the same pitch.
What was your pitch?
I don't remember, but it was pretty good, and I think I won the round.
I get my only surprise. This seemed inevitable because once again, the big movies that hadn't moved yet, like Soul, the closer we were getting, the more you're something's going to happen here. And it seemed like this was a Prime one to move. But I'm actually surprised it ended up at Prime, not Netflix, just because Paramount and Netflix partner a lot still. And things like the last Cloverfield movie and things have already been sold. Annihilation and Overseas went to Netflix. Right. And Eddie Murphy and Netflix, not only did they do Dolomite together, which wasn't Paramount, but now Paramount, Murphy, and Netflix are doing Beverly Hills Cop 4 together. So I just figured Coming to America will just be another Paramount, Eddie Murphy, Netflix partnership. But I'm guessing they must have been in conversations, but maybe they were just outbid. Because as we all know, Netflix is still bleeds money, even though they spend a lot of money. So maybe it was just too rich for my blood. Once Amazon's we'll go. Once Jeff Bezos is I got an open pocketbook, guys, $125 million. So I'm surprised where it ended up a little bit.
Well, I'm really glad this is going to streaming. I know that Bill and Ted was medicine for a lot of people. You know, just they needed that Bill and Ted. Coming to America is going to be my Bill and Ted medicine. I think I love that movie so much. I think I'm gonna do a little online watch party with our own Daniel Radford, so that we can see where this kooky cast of characters has ended up, man. So yeah,
what is Sexual Chocolate up to, guys?
Yeah.
What is Sexual Chocolate up to? I'm assuming he is my hope is that Sexual Chocolate now produces songs and music videos like the guy that did like Friday.
Yeah,
those music video factories. That's where I hope Sexual Chocolate landed. That's my headcanon. Hey guys, it's time. It's time. Let's talk about jujitsu. So, this trailer dropped yesterday, Monday. This is a Nicolas Cage movie starring Nicolas Cage and Tony Jai. It's about a predator. It's literally Predator.
Disney might want to sue, but we'll see.
There's some twists. But yeah, go on.
The Predator. So it's this alien comes to Earth every couple of years, and it wants the fight of its life. Specifically from chosen jujitsu warriors, who I think Nicolas Cage is in charge of gathering. Nicolas Cage is kind of playing the Christopher Lambert Raiden role in this film, and I, for one, could not be more puzzled and a little horny and excited. You guys, give me your initial thoughts on this art.
It's magic, right? It is a blatant Predator ripoff. Like just this is Predator, but it's that thing where it's like, okay, it's a blatant ripoff, but unlike say, what's the company Asylum? You know, with their mockbusters, it actually looks like there's some talent behind it as far as not just that they got some big name actors, but it looks like the fights are cool.
Yeah,
so it's
Frank
just
Burrell's
so
in there.
Yeah, and so it's just so ridiculous. Predator, except that both the Predator himself and everyone else is jiu-jitsu warrior. Great.
Well, it's actually based on a comic. It's actually based on a comic, which I am assuming was written by me when I was 11.
The comic was written by the writer-director of the film, so he's retained ownership of the idea.
Nice.
I mean, that's the way you got
want something done right. You jiu-jitsu it yourself.
You jiu-jitsu it yourself.
Just jiu-jitsu'd it.
I have the official plot synopsis, so let's go through this. Gentlemen, feel free to step in and interrupt when you need to, when you have a question, a comment, a fear. When Jake Barnes, a master jiu-jitsu fighter, refuses to face Brax, an indomitable alien creature. Oh, wow, his name's Brax. Wow.
Like from Space Ghost.
Apparently, it was actually Brax.
I want to do some jiu-jitsu fighting. Hi. It hurt.
The future of humanity hangs in the balance. Injured and suffering from severe amnesia, Jake is...
I hate amnesia plots. You know, just know who you are. we already know. The audience knows. You know, catch up, man.
Yeah, come on, get on the same page. So he's suffering from severe amnesia. Jake is captured by a military squad, unequipped to fight the merciless intruder who has descended upon the planet. Jake is rescued by Wiley and an ancient order of jiu-jitsu fighters.
I take it Wiley is Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Wile E. Coyote, it says on Wikipedia. I don't know the legalities of that.
Yeah. I think
it started as a gritty Looney Tunes reboot.
We're going to get Disney suing us, Warner Media suing us.
It really took a turn. They're rescued by an ancient order of jiu-jitsu fighters who must help him recover his memory and regain his strength in order to band together and defeat Brax in an epic battle that will determine the fate of mankind. How good is this movie going to be? Is my question to the two of you.
I mean, like Eric said, this is, an Asylum level plot, but there does seem to be some talent, in front of and behind the camera. It looks pretty kick-ass. I don't know why why are there so many swords and things that look like magic going on? And that doesn't seem like true jujitsu to me, but what do I know?
It definitely feels like the early 80s where Americans just called everything karate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd see, like, there's a movie where a guy has, like, a fencing sword, and they're like, Karate Master 4.
Yeah.
Is what this is called.
I mean, Tony Jaa's not a jujitsu guy, like, right?
Oh.
And I'm not seeing much jits on screen, and I hope it's not false advertising, and I get all the jits I want. That said, my limited understanding of like jujitsu.
Are there even a lot of Jews in this cast?
Not even. No Jews, no jits.
There's no Goldmans in this movie.
So there's samurai swords all over the place. I worry that this is false advertising. That said, from my limited amount of watching UFC, jiu-jitsu is not the most cinematic of martial arts. It's a lot of writhing on the ground, trying to like bend each other's wrists the wrong way. So I maybe it's better to just go with the cinematic cartwheel fighting that this movie seems to have. But I'm looking forward to it. I think this looks like an over the top. It's like a Vin Diesel version, like a triple X version of the Predator, and I'm all about that.
Yeah, I'm very into that.
Guys, I'm reading up on the writer director of this movie. As you said, he created the comic book, and he sounds like the most amazing man ever. Dimitri Logothetis, who's from Greece, and his father was captured by Nazis after the Nazis invaded Greece, and then he moved to America, where Dimitri is a black belt in Kempo, so I don't know why he didn't decide to make everything Kempo. And he learned from the same guy who trained Elvis Presley and Chuck Norris. He was an actor, and he was in the movie New York, directed by Scorsese. Scorsese said you should go to film school, which he did, and then he produced his first movie, and that movie was Hard Bodies 2. So this guy has a career. This guy has stories.
I want biopics about him and the martial arts instructor for him and Elvis and Chuck Norris.
I don't want to see the movie anymore. I just want this biopic.
There's a lot here, guys. You should read up on this.
Just playing him in a story about his life.
Maybe that's the post-credit reveal.
Yeah, I was looking at the other stuff this guy's made because Kickboxer, I saw the original Kickboxer, haven't been back since, but Kickboxer Retaliation in 2018. After winning a fight in Vegas, Kurt Sloan is sedated and taken to a prison in Bangkok where he must fight a giant for freedom and $1 million. That's how Thai prison works. You have to fight the giant, otherwise you can't get out.
The trailer saying, by the way, from the director of Kickboxer Retaliation is awesome.
Yeah.
You love when a trailer says that.
I have that on my resume. It's not true, but it's also hard to prove wrong. So it's just at the top of my resume, right under how fast I can type. Do you guys?
I fought a giant for $1 million in freedom from Thai prison.
Also, I'm proficient in Microsoft Excel. Are there any movies from this from Nick Cage's sort of like this renaissance that he's going through of these? Screw it, I'm just going to do this movie. Have you guys watched any of these? Color Out of Space. Obviously there's Mandy.
Color Out of Space was not. How dare you? That was a good movie. That was cool.
I think all of these are good movies.
I keep meaning to. It's on Shudder. Actually,
yes, I do.
To watch Color Out of Space.
I highly recommend you watch Primal. It is fantastic.
The one of the Tiger Boat.
Yeah, Tiger Boat.
Yeah, I didn't watch Tiger Boat.
Absolutely watch Tiger Boat.
And then the other one I keep hearing is fun is Mom and Dad, the one with him and Selma Blair. I heard was good too. I got some.
But that's the thing is like he's cranking out so much, Joe. Like for every Tiger Boat you get, there's A Score to Settle, Running with the Devil, Grand Isle, Kill Chain, 211, Looking Glass. Like, what are these? Are these real films?
Kill Chain I haven't seen, but I will say, in defense of Kill Chain, his character's name is Aranya.
Can I get you to write an article for us called "The Defense of Kill Chain"?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll write that now.
Excellent.
So, Jiu-Jitsu. I guess what we're trying to say, guys, is watch the trailer for Jiu-Jitsu, and then
it's this month's Money Plane.
It's this month. It is this month Money Plane. Oh God, it'll be so much better than Money Plane. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was disappointed by Money Plane.
Yeah.
It just it did not live up to all of my expectations. But
a great clip. It gave us a great clip. That's all we can say.
Yeah, it gave us a really great. Yeah, it gave us that great clip. And you know what? Look, I I'd rather be known for one great clip or one great hit song than nothing else. So good on them for having a Kelsey Grammer led one hit wonder on their hands. Well done.
More like budget plane.
More like budget plane. Why did
more money?
Why did their pro wrestler lead spend the whole time sitting in a cockpit? It frustrated me, guys. Really bothered me. All that said, let us know in the comments, what is your Nick Cage film festival? And I challenge you to leave an open slot in that film festival for one of his newer movies that you haven't seen. None of you are going anywhere. Rent Primal, rent Kill Chain. Let us know on Twitter, wherever, how they are. More love for Nick Cage in those comments, please. And thank you, to quote Superfan Dizzle. Hey, you guys want to answer some questions?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. Rob Filkins asks, do you think there could be a Jiu-Jitsu Cobra Kai crossover in the future?
Yes.
Yes. Cobra Kai is doing so well for Netflix right now. I don't know where that train actually stops. I think they can just blow Cobra Kai up big, man. I think the Cobra Kai kids will cross over with Stranger Things. I think sky's the limit as far as that franchise goes for how well it's doing for Netflix.
And now that Cobra Kai, a lot more people are watching it. People are joking again about the fact that in Cobra Kai, everyone in the Valley, well, teenagers especially, are obsessed with karate. Having grown up in the Valley my entire life, I wish it were like that. I just like that alternate reality. So I like the idea of the Cobra Kai kids discovering wherever jiu-jitsu is set, that they're like, wait, you're into jiu-jitsu? No, man, karate.
Karate's where it's at.
Yeah, and they have to battle over which is
I think this
alien.
Opens it up to a whole martial arts verse, where you have the karate kids, you got the jiu-jitsu fighters, can we get a capoeira group from Only the Strong? Could we, who does judo? What movie has judo in it? Find them. I think you have a big team up movie, like a Real Defenders, where all of them know each art and they form like Voltron to become the ultimate fighter. And then they all at the end get murked by like just a barely trained UFC fighter because he just tackles them and hits them with his elbows. None of my katas prepared for this.
Adam Holbert says, what upcoming MCU movie would you be okay with premiering on Disney Plus versus still being theatrical? He wants to still see the cosmic stuff, Eternals and Thor 4, stuff like that in theaters. I mean, I don't know, man. Look, all of these are fun to see in theaters. I don't know if I'm just old and tired and overwhelmed by 2020, but if Black Widow dropped on VOD tomorrow, I think I'd just be like, neat, I don't have to leave my house. My joints hurt.
I agree. I think Black Widow's the answer of all of the upcoming ones that would actually be just as good, even though it still would be great in the theaters. But I think it gets closer to a Falcon Winter Soldier than something.
Did I love the experience of high-fiving Danielle Radford every 20 seconds as we sat together and watched Endgame? Yes. Would it break me if I watched Eternals in my living room? I don't know that it would. But I'm...
Yeah. The only other one I could think of is like maybe Ant-Man 3. I know it's super early, but like those play so much more like comedies, and it's so much about the banter. And I don't know, Paul Rudd just feels like a TV star still to me. So I would watch Ant-Man 3 at home.
Lisa Mortini said the same thing in the chat, Spencer. She said Ant-Man 3.
Like the guy from Friends.
Yeah. I don't like making this decision, guys. I want to see them all in theaters. I guess Black Widow, maybe because Black Widow is like, the more scaled down one, because it's as much as it's still fantastical, it seems more sort of spy based. And like you said, Falcon Winter Soldier is already going to be on Disney Plus. And there's rumors they might connect a little bit. So it feels like, that might work the best. And of course, because it sort of is this out of time as it takes place in the past thing, it feels like you could maybe shift that a little easier. So maybe that one. But I want to wait for a theater. I'm good waiting.
Sure. Let's see here. Jessica Schulman asks, this is interesting. Do you think that sitcom TV shows are being replaced by drama TV shows and reality TV shows? Absolutely. I think it started happening a while ago. The golden age of TV is there partly in place because it was, meteor that hit really stale sitcoms. So yeah, I absolutely think they got replaced. I think they're starting to make a comeback in places, Kim's Convenience and stuff like that on streaming, are pretty popular. And Fuller House was pretty popular until they all did crime so their kids could go to Yale.
Great season.
Great season. That's my favorite of Fuller House. Oh, Michelle, we've got to get you to Harvard.
Here, hold this oar. We're going to pretend like you wrote Crew. I look, sitcoms, if she means sitcoms, like with a laugh track and a live studio audience and like 3 permanent sets, like, yeah, I don't think they've been doing that for a long time. Like The Office kind of came along and put the death blow to it. Now they'll still make them because like, there's just room for 2 of them on screen at any one time, and they're all on CBS. Maybe there'll be a revival given how popular Friends is, maybe, but I don't think you can recreate that. It's just not what anyone is interested in making anymore, for better or worse. I mean,
I think there, some hybrid stuff that lasted for a while. Modern Family was sort of a hybrid of a traditional sitcom and The Office, with the fourth wall breaking and talking.
Yeah, to me, sitcom, like the sitcom is laugh track. Like that's how I define it. And maybe Jessica doesn't mean that by this, but to me, that they don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah, but it's the really hard thing is the CBS factor because you can't discount that The Big Bang Theory only ended, was it last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And was a monster hit that I never watched, but a lot of people did. It just seems like there used to be a place for a ton of those. Now it's like, it's both more niche, but at the same time, you if you hit right, you can be, because 2.5 Men was also a monster hit. So it just feels like, there's less of it. And I think you're getting a lot more hybrid. I think you saw this happening with cable really for the past 20 years. Where it's like they have a comedy, but it's like Weeds, or like these comedies that it's like there's a lot of drama in them too, or even a show I want to rave about on another episode if we ever do an Apple TV Plus episode, Ted Lasso, which is like one of my favorite shows of the year. It's a comedy, but I also cry like a baby watching that show. It's got some dramatic beats, so I think you see a lot more hybrid. The traditional sitcom, there's less and less, but again, I don't want to discount it completely because people made buttload on that Big Bang Theory. It's made a fortune.
I don't know what my parents are going to email me about to tell me that I should write for that. Now that it's done, I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, even like Annie Murphy from Schitt's Creek is doing a sitcom-esque show. She's going to be the lead in, but it's a deconstruction. Like the premise is like when she's in the house, it feels like a sitcom, with the crappy Kevin James-esque husband and stuff. And then whenever she gets out of the house, it is her and her like real world. So even like, a sitcom like that's coming is a meta commentary on the sitcom. But yeah, also you should just crank through Kim's Convenience on Netflix. It's legitimately really great. And since you're not going to get any Master of Kung Fu anytime soon, watch Simu Lee in Kim's Convenience. He's very fun. Just some good high quality Canadian comedy. If you're a fan of the Toronto improv scene, then you're going to love Kim's Convenience.
And we know you are, viewer.
I hope they eat poutine.
You are. Long live the Bad Dog Theater. Let's see here. Let's close with this. In honor, this is from Adam Hulbert as well. In honor of the Mike Pence fly, who is the best movie insect?
Best movie insect.
I don't know if this is the best movie insect, but for whatever reason, my dad is obsessed with the movie Joe's Apartment. Remember that with Jerry O'Connell and the singing cockroaches?
Based on a MTV short, do I recall?
I think it was. Yeah. He saw that movie, man, and he watches it like twice a year and talks about it all the time. Still, like it still has its weird hooks in him. So in our family, I'd have to say the cockroaches from Joe's Apartment.
God, I mean, is it the cockroaches from Snowpiercer? for me.
Ooh.
That left an impression. Is a bee an insect? I don't think it is. Is it?
Yeah, bee's an insect.
The bee from Bee Movie. Jerry Seinfeld. That's a good
He does have
insect.
sex with a lady.
Yeah.
Not a lot of insects can say they've done that.
No, they can't.
Nope.
I mean, The Fly, Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Eric,
Not that many great movie bugs.
Eric, yesterday I mentioned we were talking about movies that scared us on Honest Trailer Commentaries, and I mentioned The Nest. Are there any good underseen insect-based horror movies that people should check out?
I mean, I don't know if it's underseen at this point, but it's still such an old movie that it's some of the youth might not have seen. But Creepshow, when I was a little kid, that Creepshow's an anthology, so I think there's like 5 stories in it, and the 5th one is cockroach-based. And when I was a kid, I had the misfortune/fortune, because it made me a horror fan. It was one of the things along the way of only turning on Creepshow in that last segment, seeing what happens with a human and cockroaches when they meet, and being very traumatized. But clearly, I loved it because I kept wanting to see more horror stuff. So, Creepshow's got it's not the focus of the entire movie because it's an anthology, but there's some good cockroach-based horror waiting for you in the final segment of Creepshow.
Well, guys, between Joe's Apartment, Creepshow, and Snowpiercer, clearly a heavy Roach bias. Here on
If you want to balance that out, there's a documentary I love called Microcosmos, which is it's like an almost narration-free documentary about like one patch of grass in like the forest in France or something like that. And man, these bugs are cool. They get very close to the bugs. Check it out, Microcosmos.
I don't know how a better way to end a show than Spencer genuinely getting excited and saying, man, those bugs are cool. So we're going to leave it there. Let us know what other bugs are cool in the comments, along with your Nick Cage film festival picks. And we will see you guys tomorrow on SJU. Bye.
See ya.